Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the CEO, president, founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So with that, I have an incredible guest today. Robin Bonduelle is a co-founder and CEO at Clap. He's got 12 plus years experience in product management and agile development teams across industries, e-commerce, ed tech, data and ad tech, and both startups and large companies. He's been a proven product leader with a strategic mindset, skill sets, and ability to get stuff done. We love that. He's an analytical guy with a strong data-driven approach, and he's obsessed with the user experience to ship the best products at the best place at the best time on an international basis. He's currently the co-founder and CEO at Clap.io, sharing what he's learned building Clap. He's been building this that Clap leverages AI to automate post-sales meeting tasks, meeting notes, follow-up emails, CRM enrichment, and uncover insights so revenue leaders can understand why they win or lose deals. Oh, that's very important when you're doing sales because you need to figure out how to be able to optimize all the time and do the best job that you can. On average, sales reps save 30 plus minutes after each meeting with workflow automations, and revenue leaders increase their win rate up to 90%. So with that, I'd like to bring him on board. Hi, Robin. How you doing today?
Hey, Gary. Nice to meet you, and thanks for the invite.
So you're in Paris right now.
Not so much. I moved a couple of years ago, and I'm in the Pyrenees, like right in the mountains.
Oh, wow. Now, how is it up there?
That's fantastic. I can see like the mountains just like in front of me, and the hiking trail starts 500 meters away from my home, and this is all thanks to the remote culture that we selected for Clap. We have people from all over Europe, and so I really, I'm thankful to be able to set up such a culture, and a remote setup is just wonderful.
And so what do you do for fun up there? Do you do a lot of hiking?
Trail. I'm a trail runner, heavy trail runner. I practice a lot, maybe like between 15 and 20 hours a week.
Now, do they have wolves and bears up there, or what's it like? What's the Pyrenees? And the Pyrenees dog, right? Do you have one of them?
Yeah, we have some bears, but we barely see them. They hide. It's not like in the US where you can face them pretty easily. So we do have them, but pretty hard to see them.
Wow, interesting. So you went to school in Paris, right? You said you studied law. You went to Sorbonne and studied law. You went to HEC for management. So how did you, and then you went for Telecom Paris Tech for telecom. How did you go down through, how did you go from law to getting your master's in law to going into technology? What made you decide to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. My initial, my first major, I would say, was like economics and business. And there is, of course, it's just a motto, but at HEC, my university, they say that the university motto is learn to dare. So it was really important for me, like all this entrepreneurship, like ventures and so on. And when I started to work as a law clerk, it was at Cleary Gottlieb Steen and Hamilton. It's a New York-based law firm. And I really like people there and the missions, but it was definitely not about learning to dare. Like it was, you have super precise framework with law, especially, but also law in big like law firms, and I felt a bit too like closed space. I needed extra fresh air, and so I decided to give a test in Latin America. I moved to Brazil and then in Chile to work for Rocket Internet, and it was just a test back in the days. I wanted to explore something different, and it was amazing. My first day in Chile, the Chilean TV was there, like, and the journalist was saying, "Oh, so this is the startup that never sell orders to clients. It's so broken," and so it was chaos everywhere. And I really liked this energy. And in my mission there, during like the next 9 months, we try to fix logistics and operations, and yeah, it was a revelation to me. I really felt the energy, and the mess was something that I needed more than the super clean path ahead of me for the next like 15 years. And so that's how I decided like to completely switch the angle. And the second move was to not only to go into business, but also to build products and move to tech engineering and product management. And the reason is, I guess, um, it's just my own and very personal answer to the bullshit jobs. Because when you build an app, and now you have all this with vibe coding that is open to everyone, but it was not the case back in the days. You needed tech skills somehow. And I really felt it was my own solution to craft things, making delightful experience. But before you there is no experience, no app, no website, and after you there is one. So you really come up with something. So yeah, I guess this is it overall.
So you went from that, you were doing business intelligence to product management. So as you went, what did you learn as you're going down through this journey? How did you change? So, going from law, going to technology, going to rocket, then you went to product management. I mean, wasn't that boring after being, after all the things you've done, or what was it like? Agorize, how was that?
It's you never stop to learn. The initial transition from law to more, I would say, technical and product management is far closer than what you might expect. Because I guess that when you are working in the law, like law industry, let's say, legal place, you need to have a focus on details to understand how things work. And when you have like everything clear in mind on the foundations, then you can take a step back, think out of the box, and see like the broader picture. And I feel that it's kind of the same, analogy when you are in a tech company. You will have marketers, and they can see and envision things, but they need to start from the top and move to the down. But engineers and product managers, I think that they come from the bottom and they move up. And so this process, like thinking process, is really similar to what I experimented in my law firm. And so I guess it's kind of a smooth transition, even if it feels really different.
So you went to Cozy Home. What made you decide to do that? How did you come up with? You went to 55 and then you started Cozy Home. What made you decide to do that? And you did that for almost 4 years.
Yeah, so 55 is the former management team at Google Europe created 55, and they are an industry leader in Europe about data management. So it's really like a big data agency, so-called big data agency. And for me, it was perfect after Rocket Internet, because I felt that I needed this, consulting frame to really see have a 360 vision on the different kind of products, techniques, and industries. So it was really like a move for me to keep a broad eye and select my next move. Cozy Home is different. Cozy Home is it's a project, and it's actually my first venture. It was a side project, but that took more and more place back in the days. And the idea basically was I created a layer that could plug through API and scrapping to all the places that have adverts about for renting and buying houses. And I consolidated all this in a unique platform. And so it started as a really side, I would say, activity. And the traction was really good. And so we kept working on that. And we reached 10,000 users. So at one point, that was good. My single issue, and it's pretty funny given my legal background, but we had to stop because the way I curated data was not fully, clean. Because a lot based on scrapping, and so it was hard to monetize properly. And so I decided to give up because I didn't want to go and like like innovative ways, or a challenge with the guys in place to really like make something reliable from a business point of view.
And so you went to Gory, then you were doing some product management stuff. And as you went down through the journey, Robin, and you did a lot of seed investing, right? Brick, join,
Yeah.
figures, etc. What did you learn? How did you transition? How did your mind change from being this lawyer going into doing these technology companies? Did you become more or less flexible? How did you keep when it was dark, when you had your almost 4 years, and then you had to give up the company? How was it, right? How did it feel? Because you had this dream for 4 years, and all of a sudden you stopped it right after the scraping. But how was that? How did you keep yourself positive?
I think that it's the way I see, my own path is really a learning curve, and all the time I need to. It's not only about opening doors and so on, but it's really kind of how can I improve my own radar chart about my own skills. And I felt that I was pretty good as, in product management in terms of being a doer, like really individual contributor, whether it was ranging from design to business analysis and data analysis to product organization and tech implementation. I had a pretty versatile profile. But my problem was that I was not really good at chasing dollars. I really needed a way to confront me, like to be in a position where someone would pressure me to monetize my product. It was not my strength back in the days. And the second element, I also wanted like to elaborate on this, on the leadership and scale a bit my skill set to be able not only to work on my own, but also, like get work with the team, onboard a team, scale a team. And so either you do it if you are in a successful venture, which was not the case back in the days, or you join one that is fast growing. And Augury, I joined them in 2016. I left them in 2020, so 4 years. And in 4 years, we went from 50 people to 500 people in the company. And I transitioned from individual contributor to VP product sitting at the X committee, leading a 50 people team across 4 countries. So it was really my plan to like scale myself more toward management and leadership. And I learned a lot along the way.
So, you went down through and then what made you decide to become a seed investor? And what kind of things did you look for in like Rayon and Join? What made you decide to invest in those companies?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first question is really interesting. Of course, you do it, you invest because of the opportunity when you have like the good contacts and it's a way, of course, like to an allocation of your wealth and so on. But beside this, I feel that investing in a series, I invested in 20 seed companies so far. And for each of these companies, I know, what is happening in the background. So I know the public, like what they say publicly, like the global communication they have, but I also know all the kind of dirty secrets and what's happening behind and so on. And when you are an entrepreneur, like I am right now with Clap, I feel it's super helpful to know the reality behind the gloss of the public marketing. And so that's gives me a lot of intelligence, I would say, and context. And of course, it's a way like to foster my network. Now, regarding the second question, how do I decide to invest? I guess it's really a specific job. Like being a VC and being an investor is pretty hard to me. I'm more, an operational kind of guy, and I'm not sure I can fully trust my guts when it comes to invest. And so what I decided to do was mostly like to invest in people I know, I admire, I trust, and I would be happy to work with. And if there is this combination, I feel that everything is fine to me.
So you went down through, and then how did you come up with the name of Clap?
Yeah, that's a good question. Clap, initially, we pivoted since then, as you explained in the introduction. But the initial idea was building an asynchronous meeting platform. just to give you like a bit of background, we are in 2021. This is right at the middle of the lockdown and COVID situation. Everyone is forced to work remotely. Everyone is like just suffering so much about end-to-end meetings. And the single way to work asynchronous is to work with written notes, email, Slack, whatever, but it's like written. And it's not good for everyone. Sometimes, even if you are asynchronous, you need some context. You need like to see people, you need to see stuff. And so what we decided to do was to build this asynchronous meeting platform where people could interact with each other through videos, a bit like an internal YouTube for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the clap comes from the sound when movie makers start, like directors start to film, like cut and stop. So it was really like this idea of doing clap. Of course, it has nothing to do with the disease.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say, or clap like that. It's great. No, it's fantastic. So, what
we wanted it to become a verb. Like I will clap, I will send you a clap, or I will clap you. Just I will send you a Slack, or I will send you a WhatsApp, and we wanted it to the same. So it has to be a very short like pronunciation, very short word, and to be like this sound so that it works well.
we went, I've gone down through and with companies that I've been on the original team of. So Click Software, the name of the company was Intelligent Electronics, and changed the name to Click Software. And people said, I've heard of the company before. Well, they couldn't have heard of it because we made it up, right? I was on my computer and the mouse clicked and I had a box of software and it said Click Software, and the rest is history. And so as you're going down through it, I remember Stuart Butterfield. I met him over at Stanford, the founder of Slack. And he said, why did you do Slack? Because it was our project management tool and there was nothing else to sell, right? And all of a sudden, everything changes. And we spend a lot of time in Palo Alto, California, actually all over the world, but I've spent, almost 35 years, 38 years actually, going back in and out of Silicon Valley. And the one thing, if you look at it too, Robin, Silicon Valley is really a hub to the rest of the world. Most people don't get it, right? And, I've spent a lot of time in Paris myself. I lived in London for a while, lived in Germany, lived in Russia for 12 years. So I've been around the block. And one of the things you find, it's a place where people go. It's like fishing, right? There's a lot of fish there, a lot of opportunities there, and investors come there because they're looking for deal flow. And oh, by the way, the valuations a whole lot more than you're going to get in Europe, right? For the most part, because people get it and they don't take as long. I had somebody in Germany tell me, I said, well, why don't you raise money in Germany? He said, they take too long and they want it perfect. And now I'm not saying everybody, but they want it perfect. There's just not enough time. And there's not enough capital. You don't want to get a third of what the valuation you would get in a place like Silicon Valley. It's just a place to go. It's just interesting. So tell me about what's the future? Where are you guys today in terms of sales and marketing, business development, and what's the future look like?
Yes, I think you make a good point. The reason why I decided to create Clap in France, for instance, Augury was London-based. So it's still Europe, but it was in London. And I worked across 4 different countries. So I had this really like international exposure for a long time. But I feel that, at one point when you really you start working on something you really crave for, and I'm also thankful for France for all the infrastructure, my education, and all what I got. So I felt it was just like logical, maybe not the best, move from a very personal standpoint, but this was simply logical to me. However, that being said, I feel all what you said is true. For us, America is really like, and especially Silicon Valley is really like a unique place. Just to give you an idea, we have maybe 30% of the revenue now flowing from the US. I would say that it's 30% from France, 30% from rest of Europe, and 30% from the US, and the rest is rest of world. So US is really like a big market for us. And so the future, like now we are currently scaling the team. We currently, we just signed our 600 clients. So this is still the early days, but 600 clients start to matter. and tomato, sorry. And the next step for us is to scale and expand the go-to-market team, and it will be in the US.
You know, it's interesting because I had a course at Stanford and it was about storytelling. 90% of building a story is enchantment. As my friend Guy Kawasaki says, it's creating something that's incredibly enchanting that people want they want to grab it out of your hands. They can feel the emotions from it. And that kind of thing is just so critically important. You know, and the other part of it too, Robin, is really interesting. You know, I spent a lot of time in Palo Alto and lived out there a number of years. I'm down in my house in Palm Beach right now. But one of the things that's out there that's amazing, you know, I go to Starbucks, and in Starbucks, Tim Cook was in there having a coffee in the morning. Where in the world am I going to see Tim Cook at Starbucks or Mark Zuckerberg at the Chinese restaurant outside of Palo Alto, you know, with his wife Priscilla? It's just not going to happen. Or going over to Stanford University, and Sergey Brin was over there with his kids a few years ago. Those kind of, or Otter, which was made next to my, 68 Willow Road, Sam Liang built Otter next to where I was. So musically TikTok was in the bullpen, right? And it's just interesting. And so we were all there together in this work place facility. And, you know, now look at the companies, Otter, you know, Maria DB, she was she was close to me there too. And now these companies are well known. Zoom. I remember when I was one of the first early Zoom users.
Crazy. Such a concentration is just crazy.
I mean, I've been there. You know, it's literally Sam Liang had founded Otter. Literally, I was looking at it in 2017, 2018, 2018. I introduced them to folks at Salesforce. Personally. Why? Because Mark Benohoff is my fraternity brother at Teak. And he gave me a contact with his head of corporate development. That's how it works. It's amazing. People don't, you know, it's the same thing. If you go to France and you're connected, you're going to, you know, you're at Sorbonne or you go to Ansad, you have this network. Well, there's just everybody's network together. It's amazing. So let's talk about.
But just to, to answer you, I'm fully convinced of that. And I think that this is something, if I relate to the remote setup that I just described earlier, what's missing is it's not blocking for clients. It's not blocking, you know, for the internal motion of the company. However, it's blocking for the networking. And so the way you asked me about the future, I think that it will be leaning more and more toward the US and maybe like being full-time at one point, but before it, probably like 50%, so that I can get, you know, the best of both worlds. But I really feel that networking is critical. And I fully agree with what you said.
You know, it's interesting because during COVID, what I decided to do is do podcasts because I wanted to talk to people. So I was doing 5 to 6 podcasts a day. I've now done over 1,300 podcasts.
Wow.
And so I have 1 million views or something like that, quite a few. But it was interesting because I could get anybody. I get actresses from Hollywood, the head of the Quantum Lab at Harvard, Guy Kawasaki, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream, just a whole lot of interesting people came on, but they all wanted to just talk, right? People just wanted to talk because they were scared to death. And for me, it was perfect. It was like therapy session, right? And all of a sudden you start building a phenomenal network of some of the most incredible people on the planet Earth, you know, that become your friends, and you start talking to them and they introduce you to their friends, and the rest is history. So for all of you out there, remember the network effect is critically important to build those networks. There's one thing about using tools. There's another thing about the personal touch. People need to have credibility.
Yeah, people say we are the average of people we know from our network. So I guess like with these 400 like podcasts that you recorded, you increase your average. Now you have like a denser network, super diverse, and so you increase your personal average. And that's the way I feel it. That all these connections really make sense from a personal point of view, but also from when you want to really build and start building over and over layers on your company.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they care about you, right? They want you to be successful. So it's kind of funny now. The other thing is you get into deals that you would normally not get into because they say, oh, I got a little company. You might want to take, you know, put some money in it. All of a sudden the company becomes, you know, multi-billion-dollar company. And you happen to have some early shares in it. It's amazing, actually. So, We're coming to the top of the hour, and then after we're done with this, if you could stay in line, I'll talk to you for a few minutes. It's closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you, Robin?
Closing thoughts, so much. So I think that we just discussed about something really important, and maybe one thing I can share is I completely switched my mind when I was working for someone else in different companies. I always felt that network was good, but it was not part, like really like at the core of everything. For instance, if I needed to hire someone, I was okay. Can I get some budget to work with the talent acquisition teams? And I was expecting them to do the job and just like screening and so on and so on. So I was somehow delegating all the time all this process of networking. Now I do feel that it's super important to have your own CRM, like personal CRM, whether it's really formalized or not, because it's your asset. And whatever you do next, if you have like all this network ready and like to tap into, I would say, even if it's not super beautiful, but it's gonna be way faster. It can be about anything. So consider it your own asset, and you are not working for someone else, but you expand your network for your future, is really like a critical learning I did when I started to create my own company.
It's great that you say that, because a lot of the companies don't understand it. And there's a reason 9 out of 10 companies fail. They don't have the operational expertise, access to capital, and networking contacts. And if you have those three, Robin, a resilient team, any company can be pivot to become a unicorn.
Yeah.
You pivot to success. So it's incredible. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. This is a key channel for us, so I will answer in LinkedIn.
I appreciate it. Thanks for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And thanks to all of you for joining one more time. This is Top Global Startups, GSD Presents. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate it. Please stay on. Thanks.